Hey, welcome back. This is the second part of our ongoing, dare we call it saga of Godkiller, with the Open Hearth. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him. I am running the game. And I guess looking forward to seeing what trouble our Godkiller gets into slash solves this week.
Your guess is as good as mine. I'm Mads, she, they pronouns. I'll be playing Walang Tayo, and yeah, I'll be your resident god killer for the next few weeks. So we'll see how much trouble they get into. It'll be great.
Yeah. So I guess where we left off last week was seeing Wal, slay a god and turn their back on, the home they've known for most, if not all of their life, and start down the road. Um, can you maybe paint a picture of what that looks like, traveling between or into this world that really you only know through stories?
Yeah, it's a bit touch and go. I mean, especially after the shock of killing Little Slaughter. Um, just almost wandering around in a bit of a fog. Again, just like maybe doing something as weird as like looking at their hands or like at the stick, their walking stick, and trying to figure out it's like what happened. How is this even possible? Because only the gods can kill gods, but I cannot activate anything of what you know what would have killed them. And I think maybe like wandering around to the nearest brook or body of water, splashing some water on their face, like just trying to get a sense of what happened, and just looking back, seeing perhaps like the spire of the scriptorium growing like further distant, and just thinking it's like maybe I should just go back. I mean, threat's over, or just maybe this is just the chance to see what the world has and take my chances. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think so you've wandered off the path a little to get yourself some refreshing brook water. And I wonder how the babbling of this brook kind of starts to shift in your mind. Maybe you hear something else that is musical or at least harmonizing. Maybe it's your imagination, but maybe it is someone singing.
Does it seem like it's the brook itself that's singing, or is it something that like seems to be down the ways a bit or further in the distance?
Yeah, I think it is upstream. Um, and yeah, I think to your way, to your ear at least, it it feels like it is someone singing, or at least something singing that is not just the water.
What time of day is it? Or is it nighttime at this point?
Um, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess you would have left the cloister and, maybe you've lost track of time a little bit traveling alone. So maybe it's coming in towards dusk.
Yeah, maybe the light of the setting sun is like at that brightness level that's you try to cover your eyes, but it's just kind of blinding, and then again still kind of in shock. I think also too their hand, they're like moving it, shaking it, and just giving up for now, and just holding their walking stick with their left hand, because the right hand just feels all pins and needles and prickly. Um, and they head towards the sound of the singing if they can, if she can get a beat on where it is.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I think, yeah, it's not dangerous in any way. You just maybe have to be careful of your footing, you know, especially when you get to some wet rocks, when you move upstream. Um, and I think the closer you get, the more human this singing sounds. Um, and whether that is just proximity or your ear tuning into it or something else. I don't know. Um, there is a move
Mhm.
that I wonder would be apt. That is to feel someone or something out.
Yes.
When you try to feel out a person, place, or thing, say what you want clarity about and answer one. I will give you the clarity you seek, and I answer the other.
Okay. Um, I want to know if this is someone human. And one of the one question I was going to answer was what feels welcoming on the surface.
Hmm.
I think again, I think after the shock of Little Slaughter, like putting those people into gibbering pain and like hearing something so pleasant from the singing, I think maybe even um, I will try to really listen. Like I'll stop and listen to it, and then I will maybe test it out, and then see if I can figure out the melody, and then like actually try to repeat that back, and just oh, this is something like almost like I would hear the villagers do, almost like like a call and response kind of
Yeah,
song
yeah,
maybe. And it almost feels like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm near another village, and and this is somebody that's doing something, end of day chores, something like that.
yeah. I think maybe it is exactly that. You hear this, hanging phrase in the song that really demands a response. Maybe something innate to you feels like answering. And I'm not sure if you do answer, uh, but I think whoever is doing this is like leaving space for someone else to join them, right? And that I think is um, welcoming on some kind of level that you get. Does
I
that
think,
answer your question?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And again, they're murmuring, like like Wall is murmuring, and like trying to get the hang of the melody, and then about ready to do something either similar or like harmonic to it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think I mean, it's definitely, well, I won't say definitely, but I think your intuition tells you that it's human, right? There's, you know, imperfections in the tone or the breath that is just something that is innately human, right? It's not some kind of perfect rendition. I'm not even sure if we have any kind of recordings in this world, but it's certainly not that.
Right.
Um, and I think I'll answer the other, which is what feels dark or unnerving when you peer deeper. I think maybe you see signs that, so you like press the top of this incline and you see kneeling in front of what must be a shrine, kind of set into the stream bed. Is this person like maybe a young, maybe older teenager of an age? And it seems obvious from um, like they are kneeling on the bank, and just from the depth and of the impressions that they have left, from the way the damp has kind of risen up their clothes from where they're kneeling in the bank, they have been here quite a while. Um, maybe maybe all day, maybe even longer.
And they're still singing or chanting?
Yes, yeah, still singing.
I think, yeah, I think Wal will, instead of approach, will reach out with their voice and actually do a response. I mean, doesn't know the words, but I mean, like, we'll do a melodic response to what this person is doing.
Mm.
So almost
And
like finish the musical phrase, basically.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and I think that probably snaps them out of this, let's call it a religious reverie that they're in. And maybe it's something like, you kind of complete that phrase in a very final way, how you like break off an earworm, right? Like you complete the phrase and that's the end of it.
Right.
And that kind of voice falters and stops, and they look over at you. And I think they are like bereft, or like almost like they never thought they would see someone again. And they kind of very unsteadily get to their feet.
Hello? Are
Uh,
you all right?
I I had to try something. We Something happened to our village, and I knew if I came here, the elders said that if we needed help, the gods would provide.
Uh, Wal tries very hard not to snort. What do you need them to provide?
I
What
mean,
happened?
some raiders showed up, and they were taking food, taking everything, taking people. Uh,
Taking
I
people
ran.
where? Okay, I know what that's like. What did you want?
They
What did you want the gods to do?
um, send them away, send them back, um, kill them, destroy them. I don't know everything. Can
Sometime
can you help?
I can I can try. We can see maybe where they went with your people. I mean, at the very least, we can make sure that you're not the last. Can you show me? Can you show me where they went?
I think so, yeah.
Come on. And
Or did did the god send you?
I don't know, but I'm willing to help as much as I can. I can't leave you like this. And she'll reach out with her right hand and ignore the prickly feeling and say, "Show me. Show me where they went."
Yeah, they take your hand and lead you, I think, up over the source of the stream, uh, over this hill where the source is, and look down on this village just off the road. Um, and it's some of it is burnt out, but some of it is intact. And I think you see few a few warriors, uh, definitely not from around here by the looks of them, overseeing a crowd of people taking in the last harvest from the fields.
How many of them are there?
It's like three or maybe four.
And I will turn to my companion and say, "Is this all, or is there more that we can't see?"
There was more, but I think they took some people and some things.
Can't run the risk of reinforcements coming, I guess, if they're hidden somewhere or in the houses. Because there are some houses that are still kind of intact, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess that figure of three or four is based on the couple you can see, but also like the horses maybe that are arrayed here. So there might be one uh, in a house unseen, but it's not like there's 20 of them hiding in the barn or anything like that.
Okay, okay. She doesn't know that she has access to anything at the moment. I don't know if she would be. Hmm. Let's go ahead and use another mortal move. I want to pray for guidance.
Mm.
Like hold on, I can't remember which ones I did. Um, pray to the voice of the cave, I think, and pray for guidance. Name the age you seek and answer one of those things. Okay.
So um, obviously, one of these questions is like, what kind of God answers your prayers? So unless you answer that yourself,
Right, right.
um,
I could you
your
could
your
pick
prayer
anything.
go yeah, your prayer goes out to whom it concerns, right?
Right, right, right. I don't know whether it would be like actually the voice of the god. That's the only thing because it's like, she's come away from the lands that she knows, I think, at this point. So it may be the voice. She may be trying to reach the voice of the cave, but I mean, I think it would be cooler to see what you come up with. So, I'm going to answer name the age you seek. Um, Let me see. I think to who are these people? I mean, to see if they have any kind of weakness. I think she will muster up some kind of questioning, like, for maybe even nothing godlike, but praying for guidance anyway, in terms of, like, anything that she can remember from any of the readings and the scripts that she has copied, like any idea of like who these people are. And I think the unclear omens or visions that besiege me are um, tales of raiders from the west, and these are a people that have a particular symbol attached to them, and it's like a vision of like a wolf's head that uh, just keeps coming into my mind. Like I can see silhouettes of these people, like burning out villages, or tales of them, like taking folks to join their ranks, depending on like their usefulness. But I keep seeing like a wolf's head with like glowing eyes, like come into my vision, and it's like this is what I'm receiving as I'm trying to pray for this guidance.
Yeah, I think, hmm, yeah, I think the, yeah, I think what happens is a, a God answers who maybe you have not heard before. Um, and I think what you see is, um, I wonder, yeah, I mean, I think Wall can kind of work out maybe from the tone or the tenor of the answer who it is. I think it is going to be Vulkan of the Black Forge. Um, so when you pay for guidance, yeah. So I think this god answers you in their kind of dull, echoing voice. Maybe there's the crackle of flame, that takes up the space in between their sentences. And Vulcan says, "You know the answer to this prayer as much as I do, but I know what will send them home. You must burn the fields, save what remains of this village. Single spark will consume all it touches."
Will it bring the people back?
Well, that's a whole other quest for you.
Of course. course it is. Not a straight answer in the bunch. I thank you. What do you want?
Hmm. What do I want? Hmm. I want this village to remember me. They will restore a forge in my honor. Tell them that war will provide all the business they need.
I'll tell them. Although, I think they're going to compound one mistake with yet another one, but I won't judge. Not yet. I thank you.
Well, my mistake will get them to next week.
And she just begrudgingly, like, you know, um, bows in this, like, between vision.
Hmm.
And I think when she lifts her head again, like, maybe, like, she looks into the scared eyes of this, this teen, and she'll kind of grit her teeth and say, I think I have an answer. What's your name?
And the teenager tells you his name is Soul.
All right, Soul. This is what we need to do, and I know this sounds terrible, but it's the only way to drive them off. We need to set the fields aflame.
Okay. So, what do we think? Does this seem like you're acting impulsively? Or do you think this is in itself an act of violence?
Hmm. I feel like uh, it's not like I'm inflicting violence on one particular person. This is more of like, this is the action that the god, whether trick or no, has said will um, solve the problem, at least the immediate problem. So maybe act impulsively because she wants to get this done
Mm.
and see if it see if it will work. Sure.
Um, so before we dive into the move,
Mm-hmm.
do you, how do you think you're gonna set this wheat field alight?
Since the since it is going on dusk into night, maybe there's actually some of the villagers being forced to light some torches, so this way they will work through the night to get that harvesting done, if that's what they're planning on doing. And I think maybe Wal will either tell Soul to just hang back and watch, or she will have him show her, like, the nearest torch that could be lit, perhaps, but then, like, it's kind of set away from the others, but it's just like kind of on the perimeter, and then she will steal that away, or take something from her pack or whatever and then get it lit and then sneak over to the fields and then set them on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they've set up these braziers kind of around part of the perimeter where they're harvesting now.
Hmm.
I don't, given that obviously it's a tinder box waiting to go up.
Hmm.
They must know that, right? So they're
Right.
not bringing this close at all. Um, uh, so I think, yeah, if it's getting dark, then you can probably approach um, fairly easily. Maybe their night vision, or they have their backs to you and to the flames as you approach. Um, what do you think? So when you act impulsively, describe the emotion that drives you and answer one. The GM will tell you something you didn't notice until now as they answer the other.
Right. uh, First thing that comes to mind is desperation. I don't know if that necessarily covers it though. Um, because she wants to get this done. She said she would help. Um, just fear, fear getting caught by these raiders, these invaders, and like not knowing what they're going to do. She's enacting something that she believes is helpful and heroic, but not sure if that's actually what's happening. Um, yeah, so I think she's going to take the advantage of like, them having their concentration full on to the villagers that are like, trying to get this harvesting done even during the nighttime, and their backs are to her, or they're not guarding like some of the outer braziers for light. Um, because I mean, like, these villagers didn't put up a fight, so why would they expect anything to come upon them at this point and surprise them? So I think that's the advantage she seizes.
Hmm.
Yep.
So are you, like you said, you're like creeping up to the brazier,
Mm-hmm.
like lighting something
Yeah.
afire, or putting a coal into something that will, you know, not burn you, but protect the light until you get away, and then like
Yeah.
circling around to,
I think there's like a lighting apparatus that uh, they've used in the cloister, where it's kind of like like not like a lantern, but I mean it's something to create to cradle some flame to go to the sconces that are in the hallways of the cloister, and it's not really used elsewhere, right? I mean, like, they why would anybody need to protect flame, out in the villages or anything like that? I mean,
yeah.
like, they're
So I guess it's like a little box or
hmm
like device that keeps the flame safe when you're moving through the stacks,
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
exactly,
Um, and so you kind of like, expose this to the brazier and then like
right,
close it to sneak away. Okay.
yes. I kind
Um,
of I kind of picture something like that looks like tongs with a ball at the end of it. Like,
mhm.
so it cradles the flame, but then like the ball like it's like a shield to protect it. But I mean, like, you're still holding on to something
Yeah,
that carries the
yeah.
flame with it. So,
Okay.
um,
So I guess I'll answer what trouble hits you hard and fast.
please do.
Um, so I mean, I think the advantage means that you're like not getting caught, and like certainly the way we described it, they're not like there's not a bunch of other raiders around who would catch you. So I think maybe it's something different, and maybe this goes to the kind of the danger of what you're doing, and maybe the lack of experience Wall has in farming and this kind of stuff. I think maybe you circle around maybe to the opposite side of the field, and um, you set some of this alight, and then you kind of spread the fire so it's not just like one point that could be combated. It's like a few points. But I think what happens is that you realize, when you're going to your third site, that the fire has spread, and now you're not quite sure where you are. You're not quite sure what way is out, um, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're a little bit disorientated, and your kind of points of reference are maybe dangerous now. Like if you're
Right.
heading towards a landmark, it's bringing you into the fire, and
Yeah.
you're not quite sure what the safest way out is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, she's dazzled by the flame. I mean, like, it's just like realizing, oh, oh, that's getting hot really quick, and just kind of trying to protect and shield herself. But I mean, like, it's difficult. She hears all the sounds. She hears, like, yelling down the field, and then, like, maybe some people running away, and like, I think it's smoking enough even that maybe the horses that remain from the raiders, like, they're starting to get panicked because it's like they smell the smoke. And again, it's like, I think this is where Wal will just again try to protect her eyes, but then, like, she takes a bit of her robe and tries to cover up her mouth and nose, because it's like, the smoke is starting to be overwhelming. Whatever this is in this field is very flammable and just smokes like a son of a bitch. So,
So do you like how much trouble do you feel in as you're on the verge of being overwhelmed? Like how do you think you can get out of this?
I mean, I think, oh boy, she's gonna follow the furrows. She's gonna follow the furrows of the field that, obviously hadn't been lit, and then see if they lead into, uh, yeah, back into the outskirts, into the forest. Um, I mean, it's the only thing, it's the only landmark that she can see, because her eyes are dazzled by the fire and the smoke, and so she has to depend on the ground to
Mhm.
give her some clue about.
So, get down low. I mean, it's not a bad plan to not be overwhelmed. Do you think this is tempting fate? Like you are just kind of trusting that this furrow will lead you to safety.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, like, just kind of going on some deep instinct of sorts, like, if we can't see regular, then it's like gotta go low. And so I think this is maybe what she does. Yeah. All right. So tempting
So,
fates.
tempting fate. When you tempt fate with your actions, say what perilous feat you're trying to accomplish, and roll 2d6, add one for each true statement. A skilled ally is lending you a hand. I don't know if Soul at this stage might even be trying to help you, or maybe maybe giving you like shouting to get you to come out or something like that. Depending on how much we think he will have followed your orders when like stay
Yeah.
here.
We don't. That I have no idea. So that would be like, your judgment call on that one. Um, I currently have no other options, so I want to take that one. I want to take that point. And then, far from any god that wishes me harm.
I
I don't even know yet, right?
um, I mean I think it's too early. Uh, I mean for any of our gods to wish you harm,
Right.
right?
Okay.
So
So do I at least have two?
I think you have two, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think um maybe Soul is not skilled enough to
Yeah.
be in the right to know where you went, right?
Yeah.
Because you're so
Exactly.
disoriented and just a kid.
Yeah.
So if he has disobeyed your order, he's not really in any position to help. So,
Right.
but
If
you're rolling
anything,
with,
yeah.
yeah,
If anything, I would expect that he would help the villagers,
yeah,
like
yeah.
if they're getting away and trying to evacuate in the face of all this fire and stuff while the raiders are being confused. So, gonna let him do what he needs to do, and then hopefully I can do what I need to do. Tempt fate, sure.
So you're rolling with +2.
Yep. All right. 4 plus 1 plus 2. That's a 7. All
Okay.
right.
So on a hit, you get through it mostly unscathed. The fates spare you for now. Um, yeah, and I think um, this wheat is high, right? It's not
Mhm.
modern wheat that's relatively low. It's high, and maybe that's keeping the flames away from you, and you like your face is in the dirt as you crawl out, and then you just get like a gust of fresh air. Um, and you keep crawling out, and you realize maybe after a minute that like you're in a lettuce field or something like that. Something else
Less
that is not
less
on
flammable.
fire. Yeah.
Right. Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and I think you kind of hear the sound of a horse just bolting, and you hear like the raiders chasing it down. They're like getting out of here.
Mhm.
Um, you know, maybe not by choice, but um, by necessity.
Yeah.
Um, and I think he like picked up off the ground by an older man, uh, maybe kind of late 50s, um, and he's holding a scythe. I mean, not threateningly or anything like that, but
Mhm.
um, he like picks you up and gives you a ladle of water.
Yeah. And coughing. I mean, Wall will like cup that with both hands and like drink as best as she can, but like, still coughing. Thank you. Is everyone safe?
Well, those who are here seem safe.
It's good. I'm sorry. Something said that burning out the fields was going to drive the invaders away. And so that's what I did. I'm so sorry.
And I think like he looks almost overcome with anger, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of dies down and he takes a drink of the water and says, well, rather we starve by a friendly hand, I suppose.
I know a way that you can gain prosperity back. I'm sorry. I'm Wall. Soul. I saw Soul, and he told me what happened to the village, and I wanted to help.
And I think, you know, yeah, but theatrically speaking, out of left field, Saul runs up and like grabs you and hugs you and like starts this like effusive patter about everything that you had done since he met you. Um, and this appears to be his father, uh,
Wow.
whose name is Azim. And Azim gives you a look like teenagers, am I right?
She kind
Um,
of gives Azim a look like, I guess. Um, and then I had gotten some advice, and that's why I had burned out the field. And I again, I'm so sorry, but they said that if you build a forge in their honor, then war will be the way that your village gains more prosperity than it ever did with your crops. I don't know if you believe me, but that's what I was told.
um, yeah, I don't know. Do you want to connect with Azim, or how do you think he's going to take this advice, which sounds very straightforward
Yeah,
from where you stand, maybe?
I mean it. I mean, like like this stranger comes in, burns out part of their home, and then like says, "You should do this instead." And it's like I don't know how he's gonna take it. He could probably like he could hit me for all I know. um, yeah, I mean like yeah, sure. Like connecting sounds like very reasonable in the moment. Sure. Um, yeah. So when you try to connect with someone, tell them something intimate and answer one of these things, and then the GM will reveal a fragment of their pain as they answer the other. Shit. Okay. Um. Yeah, I think. Okay. I think what Wal will say. I know it sounds fantastical, but my home was under attack and was going to be under siege, and had to follow intuition advice from something higher to make sure that it didn't happen, to make sure that the invaders didn't come. And I'm just sorry that I didn't get here in time to stop these invaders from coming to you. So I guess I'm answering like, what common ground do we share?
Um,
And I don't know if that's intimate enough or you need
yeah.
more.
Um, no, I guess that is. Um, so yeah, and Azim kind of looks at the half burnt out village, missing a good portion of its people. And I think some of the villagers are trying to um, save some of the harvest, or maybe put up a fire break or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think he says something like, "Well, I better get started on that." And I think he doesn't say it, but it's obvious that he doesn't think much of someone who leaves their home when their home is in trouble.
I understand. Once the danger was over, no one came looking for me. And I know what I'm saying is probably stranger to you than just this invasion, Just know that you have Vulkan Blackforge to thank for at least driving these invaders off. And if you build this forge, this shrine to them, and recognize them, they will bring you prosperity. They will bring you to some modicum of rebuilding. And I'm just passing that along.
Yeah, so I think he grimly nods and then joins the rest of the village in trying to control the fire. But I think you can kind of see in his eyes that he'll take the blessing of whatever God offers it if it will protect the village.
Right. I think, yeah, I think because of that shutting out, I think this is where she will, like, um, move along. Take her leave. I mean, like, didn't even have a welcome, which she completely understands. So she's just going to move along. Yeah,
Okay. I think that might be a good place for a break.
cool. Alrighty. Okay.
Okay, so we are back. Um,
I
so I
think
guess
once Wal leaves this village, which she doesn't even know the name of, she's just kind of like trudging down, um, maybe not even a path, maybe just through the forest or what have you, and then just making her way in the dim moonlight, and maybe she packed sensibly, maybe she's wearing like a hooded cloak or something like that, but in the forest, maybe she'll find a sheltered place and um, like kind of like a hidden away underneath some things, whatever, but like relatively sheltered. And then like she'll draw the hood over her head and then just kind of have a little fitful nap, if not a like a fitful sleep. Um, just thinking on this really crazy plan of like having left the cloister and going, what does it all mean? And why am I doing this? You know? So
you think you uh dream, or is this like the kind of the sleep of the dead after like a full day of stressful activity?
don't think she's ever left the cloister this long before. I mean, well, except for that one weird overnight, but that wasn't too far away. Like people know where the cave is for the voice of the cave, so it's not like maybe it's like something that they've always dared, like acolytes or neophytes to do, and maybe she's one of the few that has actually come back with something. But I mean, again, this is far from home. Not even sure where she is, and maybe she does dream because again, it's sort of that in between of fully asleep, knowing that she can rest, and no, a bunch of shit happened today, and like her mind is going a mile a minute. So yeah, that somewhere in between.
I think maybe something, um, we might just call it an overactive imagination or the way your brain processes like the events of the day through your dreams. But I think in this world, we recognize some touch of divinity in the imagery of your dreams.
Hmm.
Um, what do you think, what strangeness do you think we see in Wal's dream that makes them realize that this is not a normal dream?
I think she finds herself up and walking through the forest, but the light that comes through the trees is very bright and very, like how you have those shafts of light, like when it's really bright, or like maybe your eyesight's dilated or whatever like that, and so it's almost like too bright to see, and it almost hurts. I think that's the first clue. And she's walking with her walking stick. Her hand feels even more prickly, like as if like a bunch of needles were bites were being taken out of it. And she's constantly moving her hand, but using her left hand holding the walking stick to make her way through. And maybe um, you know uh, down in a valley she sees the flame of a field of fire, and then on the other side of a path maybe she sees like a swarm almost overtaking the landscape, and then the screams of people very distantly heard, and then a little bit of singing. But she doesn't think it's soul, but she'll say it anyway. Like she'll say in like a very echoey voice in this particular dream. It's like, soul, where are you?
Um, and I think you hear like an echo, like a call and response back in a similar tone of voice, but you don't think it's Saul. It's like, Wal, where are you? Like calling out to you. And then I think you see, the hand that's gripping your walking stick. The walking stick is like covered in moss and thorns, and these like brambles have grown out of it and are almost like um wrapping around your hand and like almost like making sure that you cannot drop it. And on your other hand, you can see the blood coming out of your hand where those kind of matching horns would be.
I think like her voice is echoing in this dream, and it's like, where are you? Where can I find you? And um, it's like looking at her hands, one like holding fast to the stick, and the other one just kind of moving almost of its own accord. And like seeing these shafts of light like shine through and around them, because the lighting is just so bright and hot. um and she can hear her voice like again saying, it's like, where are you? I can come find you.
Um, yeah, and I think you hear the voice right behind you say in a voice that is definitely not Saul's, I'm here, child. And I think that's when you wake up.
And I
And
think because she had taken shelter underneath like maybe like a, not a canopy, but I don't know, like in a recess underneath some trees and such. I think as she gets up with a start, I think she bangs her head against against the trunk. Oh, ah, oh. And she looks immediately at her hands.
Yeah, and there's like no, I mean, it's still, it looks fine. There's no blood. There's no sign of any thorns. Like the walking stick is right by your side. It's not
Yeah.
done, you know, not turned into a briar. Um, and I think like when you crawl out of this bow, you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of see like behind you. Maybe there's like a hedgerow or something like this, um, where the trees are slowly kind of merging into this mass um, of greenery. You can see like it looks like a raider from yesterday, and they're not moving. They seem to be like tied to a tree. And if you go a little bit closer, you see that like these brambles have pulled this raider into the tree. Um, and I mean, he is dead, but only just, you know. The brambles have like gone into his armor, and like
Yeah.
one of the branches is kind of coming out the top of his helmet, maybe like where there used to be a crest on the helmet or something like this.
Right.
And yeah, it's kind of grisly.
She kind of will, yeah, get close and just look with some wonder. This seems familiar, but she's not sure why.
Mhm.
And then,
I, I think you should recognize a god here.
mm-hmm. Yup. When you want to recognize the signs or influence of a god of the cradle, roll 2d6. Add 1 for each true statement. You're in or near their domain. Yeah.
Yep.
You're familiar with their gospel. So, yeah. I mean, like I feel like there's these all these signs or things that she would recognize, but maybe not off the top of her head per se, like to name them. But I mean,
Yeah.
like recognizing the signs from the stuff that she's illuminated or copied. Um, it'd be bad if you didn't know.
Um, I'm not
Oh
sure.
no.
This is not like impending danger or
Okay,
anything like
okay.
that. So I don't think
So
it's
so two.
necessarily
So
bad
plus
if you
two.
don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so plus two. All right. Oh man. Okay, so that's 6 plus 2 plus 2. That is a 10 on an overkill. You realize your divinity is actively trespassing against them right now. Oh shit. What? mm.
Um, yeah. So
Oh shit. What? Oh wait, did I do in the dream like did I do the call and response like musically?
perhaps, yeah.
Oh shit. Um
Um, and I think maybe like you look back and you see like in this hollow um of the tree where you slept, you can kind of see this um it was obviously covered in moss, but like the moss where you were sleeping, or maybe like next to your head where you would have been singing in your sleep, is like gone a little bit brown. Um, so like something about that song and at least the way you sang when you were dreaming was was inimical to this. Um, and I think like you look back and you're like, is that what happened to this raider? But the raider's eyes open and like um the brambles like pull tight, and it's almost like it's expelling the air out of his lungs, and he says to you, "This is your last chance." You must flee from this place. No other gods may tread here.
I, I'm no god.
Do not bring fire or your songs into this place.
Fine. And Wal will slowly back away, just keeping her eyes on the raider and their horribly stretched mouth, and just I think feels a shiver go down their spine as they realize it's like this is not the safe place at the moment for whatever reason and whatever they said. I don't think she's like letting the words sink in just yet. She just knows that she's in danger if she doesn't get the hell out. So she'll take a few steps, like stepping backward, and then like turn and just run as fast as she can. Um, yeah.
So I think, yeah, I think you run and you finally, I mean, your lungs are burning, your legs are aching, with this exertion, and you finally just fall out onto the road. Um, and I think, it's like a safe zone through the forest for this couple of miles. And it's like you feel the forest looking at you, um, as if it's satisfied that you've left it alone, but cautious still.
Yeah, I think I think they kind of like tumble out of the forest like, head over feet and such, and they're kind of like, panting in the dirt of the road and just looking. And I think maybe with the morning light shafting the way it does, I think it almost looks like there's two very large dark eyes looking out from the forest between the trees at Wal, and then she just gasps and scurries up, like, into a standing position and just will, like, hurriedly, like, walk down the road and not look back at the forest. Just, like, put her hood up and just walk real fast. I'm going. I'm going.
Is this like a almost like a childhood thing? If you don't look back, it won't be following you, do you think? Or is this,
I feel like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like just if I don't see them, then they can't see me kind of ridiculous
yeah, yeah,
thought in
yeah.
their head. Yeah. Yeah. But definitely feeling that shiver, that atavistic shiver up and down her spine of just like, okay, gotta get it going, gotta move, gotta get out of here. Yeah.
Do we think you're heading west, like towards where the larger raider party might have gone towards, or are you going in another direction?
I think she's disoriented, right? I mean, because again, she was leaving that village not really caring where she went because she didn't like trace any other path out. And then she just slept. And then now, again, just ran for her life outside of the forest. So, um, yeah, I don't know if you want to say that, she's following this road because I don't think that the raiders would follow any road for sure because they don't want to leave any tracks, um, per se. Um, but don't know. I mean, is it something where they are under the cover of respectability, in which case they don't care, in which case they would follow the road, or is this like where this band of invaders would just kind of like take folks through off-land, um, like off-road stuff to get them to the next point. Like, what are they planning on doing with these people? Because either way, I mean, like, whether she's disorientated enough that she inadvertently follows their path or goes in a completely opposite direction, I would, I would play to find out. What do
Okay.
you think?
Um, yeah, I think maybe, initially, um, you're heading in the wrong direction, but when you just run instinctively out of this forest, you end up kind of going back in that direction. If that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
like you're like going maybe along a route that you know, but then the forest spits you out
Yeah.
where you ought to be.
Well,
Um,
is this kind of, I mean, like, it's not necessarily like tempting fate, but I mean, I feel like maybe this is this is the destiny that's been eked out for Wall. So
hmm.
who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I don't think this is tempting fate or anything like that. I think
No.
this is just let's see where you end up.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think again, I wonder if Wall, like depending on um how well prepared she is for this journey, she might be able to travel another day or two without, you know, when the supplies start to run out and where, she really needs somewhere to properly rest.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, she could have concussed herself even. Who knows? But I mean,
yeah,
maybe she has a few, like, I don't know, ration bars or whatever to like at least make it like another day. But I think she will follow the road to see if that'll take her to a town, a village, someplace that she can figure out what she can do to, yeah, get more
yeah, yeah.
room and board and such. Just you know, a next leg of the journey, I
Mhm.
guess.
So yeah, I think um, maybe by the end of this next day, you there starts to be a little bit of foot traffic,
Mm.
you know. Um, there starts to be signs of civilization. Um, are you like keeping your head down when someone passes, or are you like looking for information? Are you striking up a casual conversation? Like how small talky is Wall going to be out amongst the world?
I mean, considering that, she would go out into the village, she would go out, and try to explore a little bit. I think she's more forthcoming than her uh, companions back home.
Mhm.
Yet, I mean, among this big wider world, I think she's still kind of like kind of an introvert. Like, it's a lot. I mean, like, maybe these are more people than she's ever seen, even in the village, even with traders coming in and out and such. So maybe this is like a little bit overwhelming. So she may reach out to people that don't look as distant from her particular level, maybe. Like, maybe anybody that looks a little bit like Tiresias, maybe that's who she kind of reaches out for because they look like they're traders. They look like people that have been around and can give her information. So
Yeah, I think maybe you end up overtaking a uh, cart being drawn by a couple of oxen, and there's a a young woman, I think about your age, who um, is driving the cart, and uh, I mean the cart is full of there's like some like barrels and then some boxes, and then like some of them are like just there's just stuff in the cart. So it looks like a mix of various goods. Um, and obviously not just someone going to market to sell their pigs or whatever it is. Someone is buying and selling this stuff. Um, uh, so yeah, she says hello when you kind of start to pass her out on foot, um, and wonders if you need some company or to rest your feet or something like that.
That would be appreciated if you don't mind. I mean, I have been walking for some time. Would that be okay?
Why not? Uh, Company always makes the road easier. My name is Miriam. I'm bringing this stuff to the next town.
Oh, yeah, I would need to go to the town. Uh, I'm Wal. What is the name of the next town?
The name of the next town, Newbridge. Very imaginative people out here.
I come from a place that is enclosed, so they called it the Cloister. So yeah, I imagination doesn't seem to run wild. What are you what are you trading, selling?
Bits and pieces, a lot of people are selling stuff to stuff they can't carry to before they move on. So yeah, we're buying because we're not. So that's how it goes.
Um, do you know if there's any work in that next town? I don't not familiar with how big Newbridge is.
I mean, there's surely work. Depends what you think you can do.
That's a very good question. Uh, yeah, I scribe. I illuminate. Um, don't know if there'd be anybody that's in the, you know, looking for that kind of work. But I'll do different things. I mean, I'm used to doing chores and such. Maybe somebody could use an extra hand somewhere. Um,
Well, I guess in a town like Newbridge, whatever you can sell will be bought. That's how I see it.
hmm.
I'm sure someone might find work for a scribe or an illuminator.
That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, I want to work for my, you know, at least for food and seeing if I can find a place to stay at least for a little while, until I figure out what I can do. Um, do you know the trader Tiresias? He told me that he had been all over the place and knew folks. Didn't know how true that is.
Um, yeah. What do you think? Are you feeling Miriam out, or do you think you're trying to connect with her? How much do you think you trust her with this kind of information?
I mean, she knows what she knows, but then she could be completely naive and just be like, yeah, I mean, people are just as friendly. I mean, people know Tiresias, right? So, I mean, maybe connecting in some way. Yeah, like
Mhm.
trying to see if people know her mutual acquaintance. Yeah.
Um, so do you think like there's something intimate is like you're not just giving his name, but like, oh, I'm his friend without finding out the lay of the land first, you know.
I think, you know, she would patter on about like how she knows Tiresias from like his travels to her uh, to the cloister and her village, which I don't think did we name the village? I don't even remember. Um, and then
Did
yeah,
not name the village now.
no, okay. In a way, I kind of feel like that's kind of par for the course for a while because it's like cloister's enough. I mean, like you maybe don't need to really know where the village is because people come to them. Um, and yeah, I mean, like she'll patter on this kind of thing and then just say, yeah, I mean, I was a scribe at that at that at the cloister, and I know Tiresias from uh, his trading with our village and the abbey. So,
So yeah, so which of those two questions do you want to answer?
um, you're a trader too, I guess. I mean, I just didn't know if you knew um Tiresias. Uh, I know that's like the very tenuous of like just trying to make a connection between like the trader Tiresias that she knows and this person who seems to be trading for goods as well. So that kind of connection. But I mean, like the intimate part is like her pattering on about like where she's from and like uh, what she's done. So
Um, so yeah, I think she's heard of Tiresias. She doesn't know him for sure, but she might recognize him if she saw him. I think in terms of traveling merchants and traders, it's a relatively small pool in this region. So yeah, they all kind of know each other. Um, and it's not, you know, it's a little bit like uh, if you were an absolute stranger, she wouldn't feel any kind of obligation towards you. But you got a familiar face or a familiar name in common, so that's fine. Um, but I think what divides you is like she has a very definite purpose on the road. She knows exactly where she's going and what she's doing and who will be there and what she has to do. And I think the fact that you don't even know the name of the town or what you might do there is like she kind of writes you all. Not quite a mark, but like who is that? Who is this person, right? Who
hmm yeah.
travels without knowing what's over the next hill. Um, and like maybe, over the course of the day, it's like you're just asking some questions and it's um like her answers get more and more short as the day goes on. It's like if you are asking questions, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
I mean, like maybe she asks like the weirdest questions of like so have you been to Newbridge before? And what like uh, if you have, it's like, what can I expect to find? And then like maybe like running off about like some of the everyday things that she saw in her village, which could be like even smaller than Newbridge, right? I mean, like maybe Newbridge is more urban or more like civilized, I guess. Um, you know, uh, and just letting Miriam know it's like exactly how completely green she is to the outer world.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah,
So,
I think, it's maybe towards the close of the day. I mean, these oxen are relatively slow, right?
oh yeah.
And, but at least your feet aren't tired anymore, right?
Hmm.
Um, and um, yeah, by the end of the day, maybe there's like a break and you like make some tea and have something to eat. And I'm not sure, when you're taking that break, is that kind of, are your thought processes a little bit clearer, or are you still kind of trying to find your feet for when you finally reach Newbridge?
I think the break is helpful, especially if Miriam starts getting more and more taciturn as the journey goes on, and maybe it's like Wal realizes it's like maybe it's time to shut up, or at least like just kind of be more companionable rather than like running off at the mouth, um, and then just kind of looking forward to getting to Newbridge whenever that happens, and then just maybe cursorily like offering up part of whatever ration bar that she has, and then maybe like she provides like a tea packet or two for the break, um, for this journey, just so she doesn't just so Miriam doesn't think that she's trying to cadge off of her or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I think that maybe, if it's not like a constant barrage of questions, then, and like a little bit of give and take at the break, maybe she becomes a little bit less taciturn and more like, this is my traveling companion, and I'm gonna, make nice a little bit more. And I don't know if this is like stepping on the exactly the wrong topic, but Miriam asks, so like, why do you leave Cloister? It seems like the place to be if you're a scribe, right? From what I hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it's going to sound strange, perhaps, but I had gotten information and I had seen that there was going to be an invasion, and this particular invasion of our land was not going to go well. And I was one of the people that decided to evacuate. We could always, set up somewhere else, I guess, but there were people that wanted to stay, and I left, and the invasion, I guess, were deterred by something, something godlike. And I decided not to go back. I I never really followed their usual structure. I guess I would always ask questions, and I would always, not be satisfied, I guess, with the answers. And Tiresias, he said to me, it's like, well, why don't you just leave if you're not? if you're not happy, with what you're doing. And I guess this was my way of going through with that. Because if I didn't leave, I don't know if I ever would have.
But are you expecting to meet up with Tiresias somewhere, or
I was hoping that I would, but I got um, not distracted. I had gotten off course, and I ended up in a smaller place that was invaded, and I tried to help them. Um, but yeah, I had gotten some advice where helping them was hurting them short term. I That sounds awful. I basically a god had said to burn out their fields, and then they could rebuild by creating a forge in the god's name to help them rise in prosperity by something completely different. So instead of crops, I guess their prosperity would be built on war.
and Miriam kind of, excuse me, what now? The god told you?
Yes,
Is that a regular occurrence? God speaking to you?
I don't think so. I mean, I had been in the cloister all of my life. I mean, there are gods nearby, and we can see the evidence of their power um, in our surroundings. But I think that was the first time that I remember directly being spoken to, I guess. Some of their people had been taken, and I found one of their one of their younglings. He was praying at a shrine, and he wanted to have help. And he asked if I was brought to help, and I prayed for guidance, and that's the answer I got. And she's saying this, it's like, and as more words come to her and she's saying them out loud, she just keeps on realizing it's like this sounds insane even to her. So she can only imagine what it must sound like to Miriam.
Yeah, I think, when you have that look, or when you finally kind of realize how this must sound, you see like it's not that she has like is afraid of you as such. It's like she's
Are you
inched
dumb?
away. She's inched away a
Oh
little bit.
no.
Like I,
Oh no.
you know, maybe in her head, she is not sure whether it's worse if she doesn't believe you or if she does believe you, right?
Ah,
Like, uh,
right.
are you a crazy person or
Right.
are you God touched?
Right. Right. Oh my gosh. Oh man. I don't even know whether I want to try and connect or if this is something it's like, oh, oof, I don't know. Feel someone or something out. I think she just says, I know that sounds crazy, and I don't blame you if you would prefer not to continue the journey with me. If that's the case, then just point me in the direction of Newbridge, or it is on the road, and you know, I'll go. I'll go myself. It's fine. I understand.
Um, you think, uh, is this like a please don't abandon me offer, or is this a I'm going to abandon you and make you feel better about it? How do you think Paul is really feeling about that?
I think, because I think she can see the look on Miriam's face. I think it's the latter. I think it's like I'm gonna make you feel okay about bailing on me because it's like, this sounds nuts. Oh man.
Um, yeah, so uh yeah, I think she like starts to tidy up and like rehitch the oxen, but that takes time. And she kind of says, "Oh, well, it's just another, you know, uh, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles up this road. You can't cross the river without it, you know." Um, uh, so yeah, you'll get there well ahead of me. These oxen are slow, right?
And yeah, Wal just kind of takes it in and nods. It's like, okay, yes. Um, I'll go ahead. I'll. Do you need help cleaning up?
No, no, it's fine. You've shared your supplies with me, and I'm grateful for that. Good luck.
You too. Thank you, Miriam. I appreciate the company this day. I wish you well. And again, she'll do that backing up and will turn towards the road and head towards Newbridge. Yep.
Okay. Is that another good place to break?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another
Okay.
5 minutes? Sure.
Okay. So I think your walk to Newbridge doesn't take you too long. Um, fresh from your break and your hours of not being on your feet. Um, so you see this, let's call it a not quite fortified town, but I mean, I think there's like a small castle, maybe like the bridge is fortified, and like the town has built up around that. Um, Definitely like a market town, definitely busy, a lot of people here. Um,
I think Wall's jaw will drop because it's like I think this is more people than she's seen
yeah.
in like, in all the years that she's been in the town and in the cloister that it's like, oh no. Like a little bit fearful of like, oh my God, all these people.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I think um yeah, and like no one is. I think maybe when Wall went to the village in the past, like you recognized everyone, everyone recognized you, but
Hmm.
here, um, it's the old cliche of no one has time for you except maybe the people who are trying to sell you something, right?
Yes. exactly. Exactly.
Um, yeah. Um, so where do you think you're going? It's like some inn to see if you can get a room or something that looks like something familiar from the cloister that might offer you some specific work, or where
Yeah,
does Wal's feet lead her?
I think I think what is the closest will be any place that looks like it's a place of worship per se, if they have one. At the very least, it's like she can possibly ask the local priests or, yeah, clergy to see if they have any ideas of where she could get work or some shelter for a few days while she figures out where to go and what to do. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think there is there's a temple here. Um, and it's relatively small, but it's like I won't say
is it?
ostentatious, but
Yes. Okay.
like it's built with a lot of like unusual material or an unusual style, and it is like unmistakable. Um, it it, it couldn't be mistaken for some like rich noble's mansion or anything like that. It is definitely like a very specific place of worship.
I think Wall is very conscious of how dusty and grimy she is from the day as she steps near this place, not even in it yet, and just kind of looks and just, hmm, I don't know if they have like an open door or an archway or something like that, but I mean, like, will hesitantly enter and see if there's, you know, anyone that she can speak to
Mhm.
that even looks approachable.
Um, and I think, yeah, like you step inside and it's maybe maybe it's got this like long um passageway, and at the end of it you can see some kind of shrine, but then on each side there's these alcoves that lead off, and you can hear whispers from the end of some of them, like there are worshippers down there. Um, and maybe as you're orienting yourself, like a priest arrives before you. And it's kind of stark, like the I don't know, let's call it grandiose surroundings are kind of belied by the very plain robes of the priest in front of you. Like it's not quite sackcloth, but it's something very humble. Um, you come to worship my child.
uh, n- no. I'm new here. My name is Wal, and I wanted to see if anyone had need of a scribe or an illuminator here. Um, I also have other scribing. I can do simple accountancy as well if need be. But again, I am new to Newbridge, and I wanted to earn my keep, at least for a little while. Um, would you know whom I can talk to about such thing?
Sounds like you're seeking a place to call home if you have abandoned your home already.
You could say that.
Well, then
Do you
you've come to the right place or the right person.
have I?
If a new home is what you truly desire,
Perhaps I need to find out who I am outside of where I've been before I can set roots, call home. But in my journey, I don't want to I don't want to be a burden on anyone. I'm willing to work.
well, I don't think we're interested in your work per se, unless it is a thing you must do to feel at home here.
I'm sorry, I find it strange that you are offering me a home rather than a place to stay if my intention is, at this point, temporary. May I have your name?
Name is Linus.
Are you the priest of this uh, temple, Linus?
I am.
Again, I don't want to be a burden on anyone's house, temple. Are you offering me a place to stay for a little while? I want to feel this guy out. This is really weird.
So, yeah, which, I mean, I think I know what you want clarity about, but why didn't you say it specifically and answer
Yeah.
one of those two questions?
I mean, okay, yeah, so yeah, definitely clarity about like what's this guy's deal? And like does he mean me any harm or like any kind of malice? Because I feel like yeah, I mean, like Wall feels like this is very unnerving. Maybe not dark because this is supposedly a temple, but I mean like this just why? If this place is just so full of opulence, is he almost ascetic? And why is he just being very, I don't know, more than neutral, bland? It feels like a mask. It feels like something's very odd here. Um, yeah. So yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like this is Very measured, very, it's covering for something else. Yeah.
Well, do you want to answer that?
That's what I'm
Or,
answering. Yeah. No, it
yeah.
feels darker, unnerving when I peer deeper. It just feels like.
So is it that kind of almost evasive neutrality, or like
Yes.
the what you might be like what you might accept that you might know the real price of kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, like, he's not giving any, it's not your work that, and I'm just like, well, what do you want? Yeah, I mean, like, what does father or brother Linus want?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, um I think he says we do not offer a brief respite. We offer a home, and we would not like you to believe that you can take some temporary respite here. If you need help returning home, we may also provide that.
I'm interested to hear your answer on the other question. Like welcoming.
Yeah, so I think like maybe you look down one of these alcoves and you see someone like you don't recognize, but they are um maybe it's two people playing some kind of board game like chess or something like this. And they have, some like goblets of wine on the table, and they're just playing, and eventually someone loses, they're talking about the game, and they set up for another one, right? Um, you look down another alcove and you find someone um hmm, like polishing something or like doing some carpentry or something like this. And they have a workshop set up down in that alcove. There's like wood shavings on the ground. There's like some completed stuff, some half completed stuff. Um, Probably really good stuff. Um, and I think in one alcove you see someone who is packing a small rucksack, and they kind of finish up and make sure they're not leaving anything behind, and they walk out and like tip their cap to the priest and thank him for sending him on the right direction.
And this is where she will slowly turn to Linus and say, the right direction being back to where they came from, then?
Well, often home is where someone has come from, but sometimes it is not.
You purport to give direction on where home actually is for people?
Typically, that is what we do here.
What if home is about purpose? Making a home where one's purpose is quite clear, and not just because it's like everyone else. Could you help with that?
How do you think it is that I got here?
Who do you worship here? What is this place?
And I think Linus leads you to the shrine at the end of the temple, and you see the the masked crowned lady the way home.
Would you need to pray for me, or would I need to ask myself for myself?
Well, usually I would let people pray themselves and offer help if it is needed.
Fair. Let me see if I can gain an answer for myself then. And this may be where Wal will like approach the shrine very cautiously, walking stick and all, and will. What does it look like as she approaches the altar shrine to you, the way home?
I think um, there are steps leading up um, to something like a dais. And behind the dais, there's like a another kind of circular um, piece of stone in the wall that kind of matches it exactly. Um, but in the center of that, there is this kind of silver circlet, which is like really well polished. It like gives you a sense of reflection for what is behind you or yourself if you're at the right angle. And in the middle of that, there is this kind of deep recess. Um, maybe it's just like a different kind of stone, but it gives you a sense of somewhere else.
She'll gaze into it, and then she will She will whisper into this recess. Is my purpose a different home? Is my home my purpose? What is my purpose? Where is my home? So I think she's praying for guidance. Ugh. Yeah, I think well, I mean, like, I think we know what kind of God, like, answers this particular prayer here. Um I think it is the way home, maybe the image of this person within the silver circlet, faceless but yet also um, full featured, will uh, appear and almost manifest in some sort of corporeal form. But I mean, there's still like a fearful part of um, Wal that feels like she wants to touch just to see if it's real, but then not, because then that's kind of like that's getting a little bit too close to, oh, like, will I offend if I do so? I think, yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think again, this voice in your head, this, I don't know how I'll put it, like this old, almost frail voice in your head answers you and says, you will wander long. Your journey will be more arduous than you ever would have sought or imagined. And when you slay enough, you will return home to the cave where you became who you are.
I think as she's staring into this face, into this manifestation, I think, her eyes grow wide, but then she frowns even harder. What I am? I, I'm a scribe. I'm an illuminator who feels like she's still in the dark and not understanding the answers to these questions that I have. What do you mean,
And,
slay?
and what truths you will illuminate for this world, Walang? What truths? I can see them in my mind's eye already. This revelation, this apocalypse that you will create.
I'm not out to create any apocalypse. I just want to know where I belong. And it's not where I came from. What is this talk of slaying and apocalypse? I mean,
And The voice says, look up, young god, and see the river.
I think, again, like, her mouth drops open, frowning, wide eyed, but then will slowly, like, look up. And what does she see?
So yeah, I think you see that um, that kind of lustrous or previously lustrous arc of stars, um, now merely a shadow of what it once was. But as you look up, one of those stars flares and burns and descends to Earth. Wall start with a little slaughter, but there shall be more.
Does the star like kind of drop into, like, kind of fill Wall's vision, or is it more of a this is just what she sees, and as she hears that voice saying, it's like you start with little slaughter.
Um, I mean, I think this is just what you see. Like, so
Hmm.
it flares and then like passes out of the kind of the arc of vision that you have up into the heavens.
Right.
So, I mean, I think this is like actually happening as opposed to just some kind of imaginary event. But maybe maybe not. Who knows? It's certainly not like hurtling towards you in
Okay,
some
I was
kind of
like, I was wondering
yeah
about that. So,
yeah.
but I mean, I think this still fills Wall with some sort of dread. Little Slaughter's dead. Was it me who killed them? That can't be. No, no. It was it was this. It was my walking stick. They were hurting people, and I ran them through with this sacred Rowan. I don't know. I just knew I had to. What do you mean? There's more.
Start with little slaughter, and there will be more slaughter.
But, but that can't be. Only a, only a god can kill a god, right?
Indeed.
What? No. No. And I think, just kind of like, just keeps shaking her head like in denial as she's clutching like her walking stick very tightly, and even her right hand, which is also clutching it. It's like, she can feel the control going into it, even though it's very prickly, very very hot. It's like she can feel herself gripping the walking stick with her right hand as well. I won't kill unless it's needed. and it's necessary.
And I think you like feel her smile, and she says once more, indeed.
Swallows hard.
Think that's a place to cut, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, like I think it's like the camera just kind of pans to her face, like from her gripping hands on the wood, and just she looks stricken, like completely like dumbstruck and stricken, and yeah,
Okay. Well, I'll stop the recording and we'll do our
okay,
debrief.
okay.